Hey everybody, Lieutenant Joe here for Hope is Not a Tactic, the school safety and security show where we talk about everything to keeping your schools, your businesses, your summer camps, your places of employment keep you safe. But we're focusing a lot on schools with a lot of these programs. So as I look over, when we do an assessment, when I go somewhere and I do an assessment, we look at the school buildings, the administration buildings, sports fields, nighttime, weekends, all that stuff. Same thing for businesses. The business is open on the weekend. I want to see how it runs. I want to see how people come and go so I can determine how I can help you. We have a list of over 120 things that we look at. So it's a very detailed assessment. But what I want to talk about today is probably one of the most important things you can ever do for your facility. Doesn't matter what kind of a facility, but especially for our schools where we're trying to protect our children. So our program is brought to you by Blue360Media.com, where we're starting a whole school safety and security section of that publishing house. Also MedicalEssentialDiagnostics.com, where if you're a township worker, state worker, anybody who works for any kind of government in the state of New Jersey, you can go and get yourself and two adults in your home completely screened for health stuff at no cost to you. MedicalEssentialDiagnostics.com. And our newest sponsor, as you can see, I got their poster right here, RiotTint.com. Now, Riot Tint offers a product that is essential for every facility, which is why I reached out to them and asked them if they would sponsor the program. There's lots of companies that want to come on and sponsor, and some of their products I don't think are valuable, and I just can't bring them on. But Riot Tint and Smart Tint are two products made by this company. They are a window security film, which is essential for every facility to have. Now, you hear that? That's essential. So when I do an assessment and I give people a roadmap to changing anything that I see that's a problem, excuse me, one of the first things we talk about is how do you protect the people inside your buildings, right? We have two kinds of threats we talk about here. The internal threat. An internal threat is someone we let in our building, our students, our staff, our delivery people. We let them in. We open the door and let people in. And they can certainly hurt us and attack us. So there's ways to handle them. Then there's the external threat. These are the people that show up at our facility, at our school buildings, at our businesses, and they try and get in. They force their way in like they did in Sandy Hook, at the Nashville school, and at many, many other places where we see this take place. So recently I was doing a threat assessment. Some districts had been threatened, and the superintendent reached out and said, "Hey, I see what you do. Would you come down and talk to us?" So I did. I went down, and that ended up leading to an assessment of the school buildings. And one of the first things I noticed is that they had multiple doors to get in. And you know how our schools are. There's a big doorway to get in. We open it up in the morning. We let the kids in. There's teachers and staff are out there. At the end of the day, we let them out. But throughout the day, we see visitors will come, people will show up and this and that, and they go to that front door. Now, sometimes people go to the back door where the teachers come in, or side doors or whatever. We're going to focus right now on where do most people arrive when they want to attack you and hurt you. What we find is that most people go to the front door because that's where we all go. Everybody knows you go to the front door to get in. Sometimes they'll go to the back door, teacher's entrance or something. But the commonality between all of these locations is there's glass. We have glass on our doors. We have side lights on our doors to let all the light in and we can see who's out there, and that's all great. But the problem is, if that glass is not protected, then people can get in. And if somebody wants to force their way in using a hammer or a blunt object, or shooting through the glass like they did at the Covenant School in Nashville, like they did at Sandy Hook, you fire a couple rounds and the glass drops to the ground. Even the glass that has the metal mesh inside of it, right? We all think, oh, that's going to protect us from people getting in here if they break the glass. I did an experiment when I was a director of school safety and security. And I actually took one of them doors with the mesh in the glass and I hit it with a hammer and the glass broke immediately and the mesh stayed there. But all the mesh took was a couple of hits with the hammer and it busted right open. I could reach right in, unlock the door. So we have to find a better way to protect our glass because that's our first point where people will try and get in. If the doors are locked and we do all those right things, that's great. But if they hit the glass with a hammer or they shoot a bullet through it and the glass drops and they're in the school almost immediately, then you really have no security. And that's what I found at this school district. They had several entrances that had no protection whatsoever, except for the one, like I said, with the mesh. And that is no protection. They had zero protection. If I wanted to get in or a bad person wanted to get in, that glass is totally vulnerable. So what can we do about that? Well, you can either change your doors to metal doors, full metal doors, where you can't see out, people can't see in, but who's going to do that? Most people are not. Well, I found an answer. All right. It's called security film, security window film glazing. You hear it all kinds of different names. And when I went out there in the market, I looked, there's the standard window film, which is applied on the door windows, the side lights, all that kind of glass. And then there's like a caulking that is put around the frame. Now it's got to be a metal frame. If you don't have it, if you have wooden doors, you got to put a metal frame around the glass so that this caulking can adhere to the metal frame and to the security glazing, security film. That does not stop a bullet from coming through it, but you can't rip it open. Like if I shot through a front door of the school and it had this security film on it, the bullets would go through, but I couldn't go over then and rip the glass open and get in. I would have to take a sledgehammer. And I'm a big guy. I'm 225 pounds. And if I was swinging a 20-pound sledge at glass that has been secured by the security film, it would take me 2 to 3 minutes to break my way through it. Now, 2 to 3 minutes buys you 2 to 3 minutes to react, to call for help, to lock down, to flee, whatever it is you think you need to do. Because when we talk about this kind of thing, we talk about time equals life. The more time you have to see danger coming at you, the more time you have to react to a dangerous incident, the better chances you have of survival. So when I went out in the market, I looked. Because when I was director of school safety and security, the first thing I did was put this security film on all the front doors and then the back doors and then all the first floor windows of my school. Because I know that if people are going to attack us, they're going to come probably to the front door or the back door, and they're going to try and get in through that glass. And if they can't break the glass and they can't get it out of the window quickly, then I would have time for my people to lock down, save themselves, call for help, whatever. And when I went out there in the market, I looked, there's lots and lots of different kinds of products that are made, different companies that do it. The reason that I focused in on Riot Tint and Smart Tint is because, first of all, the owner, Dan Singer, is a really, really good guy. You know, you see people make a product, they're making a product, so, oh, it's all about, profits. And of course, every company is making a profit, otherwise you can't stay in business. But Dan really cares about safety and security of all these facilities. I mean, he takes this to heart. We had a great conversation. I come from that place. I want you to be safe and secure. So when I met with Dan and then I learned about his product, Riot Tint and Smart Tint, he has the standard window film. It's clear and you can see through it. And people don't even know that you have it on there because usually it's put on when the school's closed or, at nighttime or something, so that it gets put on. And next thing you know, it's crystal clear. You can't tell anything's there, but it offers you protection. Then the Riot Tint, what they have, one of the things I think is a game changer for this is that the school I was at, the superintendent was telling me, you can see from the street right into the school because the building was pretty close to the roadway. And one of the things she said was that it always bothers her that people can see right in. If somebody wants to attack them, they can see the kids walking by. So the Riot Tint it's a special kind of security film, glazing film that they put on there, and it's attached to an electrical connection. And in an emergency, somebody with an actuator button, the principal, whoever your security manager, whatever, hits that button and the glass frosts. Now you have the protection where people can't get through it very quickly and they can't see in, so they don't know what's going on behind there. So that's why I reached out to Riot Tint. I said, hey, I'm doing this program and we're growing and we want to get all this information to these schools out there and businesses. Would you come on and help to support us so that we can get this information out? And Dan and his team jumped right on. So I got to tell you, the first thing you have to do when you're securing your facilities, you got to have good policy, of course. You got to have smart people in charge, but you got to secure that glass. If you don't secure your glass and somebody attacks you, they can get in immediately. I mean, let's look at Sandy Hook. They did the right things. They had lockdowns. They locked all their doors. Everything was good. And the killer walked up to the school and shot out the side glass, which immediately dropped, and he was in the school in seconds. In the Covenant School, you can see the video of the attack. They had a man trap, locked doors, everything. And all this killer did was shoot through the glass, and both sets of man trap glass dropped to the ground, and he climbed right in. And of course, we know that there was people were injured and killed in that school. So this is why I'm bringing this to you today. The first thing you need to do is secure them doors and windows. And one of the best ways to do it is with the security film. And when I looked around, I'm telling you, one of the best companies that I've ever found, because they care about safety and security, not just selling stuff, is Riot Tint. So it's riottint.com. Go on there, take a look, reach out to them. They are an amazing company, and I'm very grateful that they're a sponsor here. So when you think about what you're going to do next, and that's what the superintendent said, what's the first thing I need to do? So in my assessment, I give them a roadmap. Here's the things you do right now for free or low cost. Then you budget for the next year and you budget for the next year. I said, the very first thing you have got to do is you have got to get safety film on that front door glass and the side lights and the back doors. And then as time goes by, you do all them first floor windows and do everything. You cover everything in this material, and it will buy you time to survive. And that's the key. So I want to thank everybody for being here. Take a look at your doors and windows. Make sure they're secure. You have to have time to react. Time equals life. This is Lieutenant Joe signing off here for the Hope is Not a Tactic program. Have a great day and be safe, everybody.